Hi. Sorry. Thank you so much for having us, for having me especially. I mean, I'm a jobless influencer, just doing, and I mean, I'm having a such honor to be here to host this panel and to lovely meet all these wonderful people here. I'm Pepper. Yeah, I've been hosting this panel, and this is the topic about Lightning Network. So speaking of Lightning Network, it has been over a decade there. First, from Michael Heelan, an email to Satoshi. Then we had all, people, Peter Todd, and people granting their hard effort towards Lightning. Then we had we had Joseph Pond and Drea had the Lightning the famous Lightning white paper from back in 2015, I think. So it's been a long journey for Lightning Network, and we we had to get there. So yeah, why don't we just open up the front and just ask the panelists about some questions? Would that be okay, right? Okay, sure. So because recently we heard the news about USDT dropping, officially dropping on LN. If we wind back history, that Lightning Network, okay, sorry, the Tether of first dropped their USDT on Omni chain, then for all those many years, then it came back to Bitcoin system again, this time on Lightning Network. So my first question is that what do you believe the integration of the stablecoin like USDT will transform the LN's role within the cryptocurrency ecosystem? Thank you.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Alex Bosworth. I work at Lightning Labs, and we're working on the Taproot Assets protocol. So hopefully that's going to power USDT on the Lightning Network. And it has a huge promise because when we onboard people, we wouldn't have to onboard them to Bitcoin. We could onboard them to a Lightning Network in dollars. So that means merchants and users, they could be completely using dollars, and then they could move into Bitcoin from the dollar perspective. So I think that this would also be a huge benefit for the network as a whole, because the way that the integration works between the dollars and the normal Bitcoin Lightning Network is that the dollars only exist on the edge with the merchant themselves or the user's wallet themselves. When you make a payment through the Lightning Network using the dollars are converted to Bitcoin in the middle. So it actually is an aggregate volume increase on the entire Bitcoin ecosystem, which I think is very different from previous attempts to bring dollars into Bitcoin.
Yeah. But totally agree. What do you think, Federico?
Yeah, no, I think to have USDT on running on Lightning, either with Taproot Asset or RGB, it's going to be a game changer mostly for the Lightning ecosystem, because the problem with Lightning is that nowadays most people don't really care about Bitcoin payments all that much, but they will care much more about USDT payments, as I mean. Currently there is more market demand for that. Hopefully in the long term this will change, but I mean the current market situation is like this. And also once you have multiple assets on Lightning, you can start having trading on Lightning, which will bring even more volumes. So even if you don't care about USDT, you don't care about stablecoin, you only are a Bitcoin maximalist that only care about Bitcoin, this is going to be good for Bitcoin, because those volumes will be revenues for the node operators and for all these Lightning startups that currently most of them they struggle to actually be profitable, and with this revenue they can build infrastructure and they can grow the Lightning Network also for the Bitcoin maximalists that only care about the Bitcoin part. So this gonna be like really the accelerator needed for Lightning to truly take off and to develop it and to compete with all the other crypto network where actually currently most of the payment volumes are happening.
Yeah, sure. What do you think, Jan?
I think definitely it's an opportunity. I like the analogy that the Lightning Network is like the logistic system, and the logistics system is valueless on its own. What makes it valuable is that it brings goods to the users. So nowadays, definitely, users are more likely to send payments in USDT than Bitcoin. I don't know whether USDT is the answer, but definitely it looks like it's more likely. And it's an opportunity. I also want to mention that it also means a test for our builder. If you disappointed user, if you cannot support such user traffic, it's hard to convince them back to the system.
Okay, what do you think, Jeffrey? we think we have talked about this, right?
Yeah. I think the maybe back to your questions. I think it can change the role of Lightning Network from the scaling solutions to the payment network. So because actually, I personally I will try to using the Lightning payments everywhere when I travel to a new world, a new place in the world. Like when I travel to Thailand or maybe some other regions of the world, I will try to, in some case, I will try to pay by the Lightning Network. But the problem is that I will swap my valuable Bitcoins to the coffee, so which is not quite, that makes sense, right? So, so my trick is that I will instantly buy some Bitcoin, same amount of Bitcoins after I buy the coffee. So that make me a delta neutral for the Bitcoins. But it's still quite, it's not so practical for the every transaction that if I want to make some payment. So if later on there will be some USDT on the Lightning Network, I think that will make use, if we can, quite makes sense for people to daily payments on USDT on the Lightning Network. I think it will change role from the simply scaling solutions to the payment network. Yeah.
Definitely. What do you think about? I mean, on the last question. I mean, based on the investment point of view, Khushboo, what do you think about the USDT on the Lightning Network?
Hi everyone, I'm Khushboo Khullar, venture partner at Lightning Ventures. So we really are bullish on Lightning Network from our since the day of inception. That's how the name Lightning Ventures comes into place. And I was luckily there when the announcement happened at El Salvador at Plan B Forum on 30th January. So I mean, the integration of stablecoins like USDT to Lightning networks makes the smart contracts on Bitcoin a more viable play. Though the programmability did exist before also via mini scripts, but the native settlement on Bitcoin was missing. So I think now the on the stablecoin was missing. Sorry. So now the USDT makes it possible. So we are really bullish on this. I mean, we are a big fan of Lightning Labs, and they're doing great stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. Let's run back to the question because off stage I talked to Mr. Khushboo about their interested portfolio. I've seen their portfolio, their venture portfolio, some of the really interesting applications. They invested, I think, a podcast, using the Bitcoin as a payment segment. So, so the second question comes, jumps in right now is that, do you have any idea, around the Lightning ecosystem? What are some most interesting applications for you, Alex?
Yeah. I think that the world is being changed in terms of how applications are being developed, and I think that's something that's very exciting that Lightning Network can help with, and the dollar integration in terms of you have people out there now who can just spin up a totally new piece of software just by kind of describing it to an AI model, and they say, oh, I need this app to do this XYZ things, and usually that's going to involve some kind of transactions. You're going to have to buy a domain name. You're going to have to rent server space. You're going to have to do all these different things, and the way that you achieve that hopefully could be done using Bitcoin, so that the model could be able to spend money to buy the domain name, to buy the server space, to maybe even pay for the AI to even help you build that application, and it could work with other AIs that can kind of help facilitate the just what you're looking to build without you having to go back and forth to your wallet and give credit cards and do all that stuff.
Interesting perspective. Yeah. What do you think, Federico?
Yeah,
any interesting applications going around lately?
The application looking forward the most to on Lightning Network is the trading applications. I think like there will be a transition from Lightning Network as a purely payment network towards also a trading layer, and this has a great potential because trading on Lightning can be faster, cheaper, more private than trading on decentralized exchanges on EVM chains, and can have like a better pricing because there won't be dynamics like front running and market manipulation, as all the trades are private. So when you are able to offer better pricing, then also maybe the user experience trade-offs that the Lightning have won't matter so much, because when users are motivated, when users think they're about to make money, they can also deal with complexity. If you are just doing a payment, you just want it to run smoothly without issues, so you are not willing to deal with complexity. But yeah, I think traders will be more willing, so there will be more opportunity for widespread adoption in the shorter time frame.
Awesome. I think Fiber was doing, a similar, I kind of to solve and create some interesting applications. What do you think about Yan?
Yeah, okay. I think the personally make me excited is also I'm trying to build is a hybrid payment chain network. Alex has already mentioned that if you have the different assets in the network, the whole ecosystem can benefit from it. And what I want to build is a more open network, the hybrid network that can cross the chain boundaries. So nowadays there are already there are many chains, and users are using different networks. So I'm thinking about how about to connect them together via the hybrid payment channel networks. So the different networks can benefit from each other. So I think it's a win-win, because it can help these networks to connect the users, and the more users can bring the network effect. And I think it can be a great opportunity for the whole ecosystem.
Yeah, that's an awesome. I would like to know more about Fiber Network, because I've read your white paper and light paper as well. So yeah. So what do you think, Jeffrey?
Yeah, I think still on the payment itself. That's a base application of the Lightning Network itself. But I think the use case is already large enough, because if we think of some other network like the Tron, so I think the major use cases for the Tron USDT is just for payments itself, but it's already made the Tron network is already large enough. So I think the payment itself is still quite interesting applications. But speaking to some other specific applications on the Lightning Network itself, actually I also had a discussion with my friend from BTC Study, Liz Noon, have lunch when we talk about this topic. I learned that some other gaming applications also just using the Lightning Networks just to make that payments, or maybe buy some, give some tips for the gamers. So that already made lots of the transaction volumes on the transaction amount on the Lightning Network itself. So I think probably gaming is one of the interesting application, and maybe after the tablet assets on the USDT on the Lightning Network, maybe some other DAX or maybe some other this kind of the financial applications will also be another quite interesting application.
I remember there's a game called Satoshi game, right? Right? Satoshi something game, right? It was quite a while ago, a few years back. And similar to like they shoot people with Bitcoin. If you're dead, you get the one person's Bitcoin. And it's using Lightning Network. So it's very interesting game. What So with regard to this question, what do you think, Mr.
So as you mentioned, the company that you mentioned is Fountain. So we have a very unique and great portfolio of companies, around 40 plus, and we are always on a lookout for such unique applications. The promising applications that I think one would be taproot assets on stablecoins and tokenization. Second would be Bitcoin lending use cases where via non-custodial way. And third would be an ecosystem where where the Lightning works as an interoperability layer. So that is something where there is a bridges with other crypto ecosystem. That's what is more promising.
Yeah, you just mentioned bridging with other ecosystem, because if I remember correctly, that back in the years that we had state channel on Ethereum called Radiant Network, and it hasn't worked. So what do you think about this? I mean, why Bitcoin only has state channels and it will just work like perfect, but other, EVM with state channels, maybe not a good combo? What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, I think it's going to stay that way. Probably even get more that way. And it wasn't just Ethereum who tried to do the Lightning Network kind of a copy. And actually, at Lightning Labs, we originally had support for Litecoin in LND. Litecoin was an early adopter of segregated witness, which allowed LND to operate with kind of a mainnet environment. But what we saw happen with Litecoin is that it missed the network effect of Bitcoin. And the network effect is very key to the Lightning Network. You need to have a vibrant set of peers that have capital allocated between each other. And that's kind of the foundational model of the Lightning Network. And that's what we've kind of built on with the Taproot Assets system. Instead of making dollar channels, which we don't think is going to work, we're going to use Bitcoin channels, and then only dollar channels at the very edges, just between you and your peer, right? Somebody who's providing you access to the Bitcoin Lightning Network, because that ecosystem, that organic growth is very difficult to replicate, and it's going to reward the winner. It's going to reward the system that has the strongest base layer asset, because I don't want to channel with somebody who's just some random person on the internet if I don't think that I'm going to have very easy liquidity and very reliable contract execution in case something goes wrong.
Interesting perspective. I just heard the word dollar channel, which is very new to me. What do you think about this question? Federico.
Yeah, I think there are a couple of factors. So first of all the chains that use an account-based model, they have a bit harder to integrate something like Lightning compared to Bitcoin that is UTXO based. And then there is also like the more economic factor, or like actually the more also I would say security factor. Like if you can have Lightning channel on Bitcoin, why would you want to have the same on top of another chain that have less securities guarantees? So like if you try to replicate Lightning somewhere else, you probably are not gonna be able to offer anything more than what Bitcoin already does, because those chains after they promote themselves as cheaper than Bitcoin. But then Lightning makes the playing field, levels the playing field, so it's equally cheap also on Bitcoin. So there is really not much motivation to use Lightning on anything that is Bitcoin, because the value proposition of Lightning is that we don't do trust compromise. We want the full security of the Bitcoin layer, and we compromise maybe elsewhere on the managing liquidity and this kind of stuff. If you go on another chain that already did the trust compromise, okay, we will be less secure than Bitcoin, we will be more centralized to have cheaper payment, faster block time, this kind of stuff, then what's the point of using Lightning there? I mean, it's kind of conflict with the two value propositions.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. I mean, I think Fibo was, fiber network has your own structure, right? From Bitcoin to CKB to fiber. So it's more, for me, it has more structure. So what do you think about this? Why, Radar network failed? Is there anything that you want to add on?
I think the one key factor is the complexity. In Ethereum, it's too complex to build a payment channel network. On the other side, the protocol is much simpler to build the payment channel network based on the UTXO. When the future is unpredictable, I think we'd better prefer simple technology. So it's more flexible, and it's more has a lower risk. Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Jeffrey?
Yeah. I just want to add on the Ian's statement because I think besides of the implementation difficulties on the Ethereum and the other EVM chain, I think another kind of the big reason is that the community wants something more other than the state channel itself. Because I remember that some developers found the Ethereum when they invented some state channel and also Plasma at the time. So they want more like the AMM, Uniswap, all these kinds of the unowned smart contracts on the Plasma implementation, which is, I think, is quite impossible. But which is possible on the state channel side is that you can connect it with each node, which makes more like internet and make that throughput and also the scalability even, I think, infinite on the to some extent. So it's because you can just transfer between the two nodes without the intervening from the other nodes. I think it's quite useful for the payments itself, especially when the AI age, when some micro payments between the agents. I think that's quite possible for some AI payments on the Lightning Network. But I think it's still quite possible for some EVM chain, maybe some other layer one, also adopt this state channel solutions, like the fiber network building on the CKB and also between the Bitcoins. So you can build some Lightning channels to get connecting with each other. And I also know some other projects are doing maybe some kind of the bridge between the different networks that are connecting each other just using the state channel. I think that's still maybe people will changing their ideas when we see the power of the state channel.
Interesting. The power of state channel and the AI with the state channel. Have you seen lately about any new project, Mr. Khushboo, if I pronounce right?
It's okay. You can call me Khush. So I would say, where I mentioned in the last question, it's like the bridges with the other crypto ecosystem where Lightning becomes the interoperability layer. So there are certain projects like Breeze and Jolts, which we are very bullish on. So when it comes to interoperability, for those, just to make you understand in a very simpler way, it's like imagine it as a adapter and other blockchain as a charger. So wherever you are traveling, you don't need new chargers. So your adapter becomes, you can use it everywhere. So this is what's true with the Lightning. So it acts as an interoperability layer, and Breeze and Jolts are doing wonderful. I would urge the audience to go and check them out, their product. Yeah.
The Breeze, yeah, I know. The Breeze and Jolts, yeah, I know. Very interesting. Because I just, Jeffrey just presented, the convents and stuff. But I mean, this question kind of relates to the convents. Looking forward, how do you think, the proposed Bitcoin upgrades like convents will influence the evolution of Lightning Network's capabilities? Starting from you, Alex.
Yeah, I think, whether or not we have a soft fork to allow for the more features, people are already working with kind of the assumption that they will come, and with models that take trade-offs to achieve the same result or similar results without the full capabilities. And the big thing that I'm seeing is that people are coming up with these new ways to hold Bitcoin. and to transact in Bitcoin that can be dramatically cheaper. So let's say that you could have full self-custody, but it would be 100 times cheaper or 1,000 times cheaper than it currently is, which creates a very compelling story of onboarding. Instead of saying, okay, we're going to only be able to onboard, X number of people per day because of the block size limit, now we're going to be able to kind of, maybe even onboard people in an unlimited way. So if there was a huge surge in interest in Bitcoin, they would be able to all come on board to do that in a self-custodial way, instead of just all getting an exchange account and just leaving their coins on there. But the big problem that all of these guys have is that they don't really have a way to transact across the other systems. So if we have 5 new systems coming, and even if there's just 5 implementations of these new systems, none of these new systems really have a way to say, oh, I'm going to pay from this system to the other system, because they're self-contained. And so that's where the Lightning Network really comes in, and that's a part of their plans. Usually, if you go look at these plans, they're saying, okay, we're going to onboard these people, and if people are internal to the construct, so let's say that we all share a UTXO, and there's maybe thousands of us sharing this one UTXO, that we'll all be able to trade with each other. But if we want to trade with somebody outside of the UTXO, what we're going to need to do is use the Lightning Network, because that's already there, it works, and we can model that using this internal structure in a way that's non-custodial.
Interesting. What do you think, Federico?
Well, I think, of course, to have covenants will make life easier for a lot of builders that are trying to scale Bitcoin or build more application around Bitcoin. But I think we should also plan with the assumption that this might not happen, because we may be in a situation that it's a bit too late to coordinate this soft fork. Now Bitcoin became too big, there is too much attention about Bitcoin. So it may be that, it won't happen, and we need to work with what we have, and I think it's okay. Of course it would be nice to have all sorts of features, all sorts of functionalities, but what we have, it's already enough to work with, to build something that can serve the users with the intended goal of Bitcoin. So yeah, if we ever get some sort of covenants, probably it's good. But yeah, let's be ready to work with what we have right now.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. We could have an upgrade, we could not have an upgrade. So it's hard to say that if we can pass on that, and there's a full vote on stuff, and then it's totally upon to the community, I would just say. What do you think, Yan?
As a technical guy, I used to be very excited with this new feature. It means that you have something to play. Yeah. But nowadays, my thoughts have changed. I think if it's really great, somebody already have built it based on this feature. So in this current situation, I think it's not a revolutionary change. Yeah, it's good to have, but I think it's not a boon. Once this feature is shipped, the user will start to use the payment network. It's not that the killing feature. So yeah, my brief opinion is that it's great to have. And it's good to have it to see what it can do. But I personally don't to say that I have some feature must to wait this feature. Such as a covenants to ship.
Yeah. Yes.
Sometimes the limitation means the innovation.
Okay, that's a great phrase here. Limitation is the innovation. What do you think, Jeffrey?
Yeah, I think I will make it short because I just share some of my opinions on the covenants. But I think the covenants itself, like CTV and other confidence will make the make the Lightning Network more robust, since it can make some commitments on the pre-signed transactions. We don't need many pre-signed transactions, but we can just rely on the confidence itself, and we can have the node itself on L1 node can maybe store less data, because we can just maybe rely on some other confidence like the APO or maybe other kind of the confidence to make that signed transactions just keep to the update copy. So that's, I think that will make the Lightning Network more robust.
Yes, thank you. So Mrs. Khushboo, what do you think about this question?
I mean, we just had a great keynote by Jeffrey. So, I mean, I would just add one point here, like the Bitcoin upgrades like Covenants could, enable more smarter and more flexible lending channels by specific, if you ensure, specific spending conditions. So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. So wrapping up on the last question. So what are the critical steps to scale, the Lightning Network and, drive to a mass adoption? Even though we had, I think we have achieved more, but we, oftentimes that people like say we want to do mass adoption. For example, like Hong Kong, I doubt Hong Kong has restaurant that support LN. I'm not so sure. But Japan and Korea, they have restaurants that adopt LNs. When I travel around Europe, there are some Europe countries like Austria and German. They support LN payments from different variety of restaurants and some small shops, and So that's the last question. What do you think? The critical steps to to achieve and scale to a greater mass adoption, starting from you, Alex.
Yeah, I think something that people don't necessarily realize is that Lightning Network isn't like a done project. It's not like it's out there and then there's no more upgrades that need to be happening on Lightning. Because people get very focused on L1 upgrades because there's a consensus. Everybody who's using L2 is not necessarily using L1, and there's a lot more users of the hold utility of Bitcoin than there are of spend utility. But there's a big problem in the Lightning Network right now, which is that when you want to go to make a payment, especially for larger size payments, the payment success rate could be way, way better. We see difficulty in that this is a network that's unplanned, anybody can join type of a network. And when you make a payment, you kind of have to be able to find your way to the destination through potentially a lot of nodes that are on there and not necessarily doing a good job. And that's very different from how the Bitcoin network works, where everybody's kind of just like a peer that you turn on and you don't have to do anything. In the Lightning Network, you need to do liquidity management, and then as a payer, you need to be smart about how you're looking for that liquidity. So one new protocol feature is called Blip39, and it allows for the receiver to help the sender find a path to them. And I could see there's some payments in the network that could take an hour, because it's just so difficult to find a path through. And I think we should be trying to get that time, the worst case scenario, down to like a second. And that's something that I think we can achieve through protocol updates and through implementation improvements.
Yeah, you just mentioned BIP. That's a whole new story. We can talk off stage. But what do you think about this question, Federico?
I think there are like two sides of the solution to the mass adoption. On one, to make the user experience better, for sure. Payments shouldn't fail, and this kind of stuff. But I think the other side, which maybe probably even more important, is the motivation side. I mean, if people are motivated, they will deal with all kind of complexity. People learn to do stuff that are much more complex than dealing with Lightning Network. I mean, to drive a car, you need to spend tens of hours to learn, and you need to have expensive equipment to learn. So people, if they are motivated, people learn to deal with a lot of complexity. So I think like one of the problems with Lightning Network is not only that there are issues on the technical side with the user experience and everything. It's also that so far there was not enough strong motivation for people to adopt it. Maybe because the on-chain fees are still low enough that people are okay to transact on-chain. Maybe because the other chains, even if they're centralized, they still work good enough that you can use the other chains. Or maybe because the legacy financial infrastructure is still in good shape enough that you can use that. So I think to get real mass adoption, yes, we need to have a better user experience, but also something needs to happen that people have stronger motivation. And it's good that now we have some time to build before the people actually they truly need Lightning at large scale.
I just catch the two phrases, a very important phrase. One is motivation. The second is liquidity. So I think that's the key terms for why LN network hasn't reached, a greater mass adoption. Moving on to you, Lane, do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think I don't have much more comments. I also think that the user experience and the liquidity is the two challenges. For the user experience, currently the whole protocol still requires many user interactive to require the users online to make the payments. So yes, it's really a problem for user to use the network. And then another is how to make the network health. And that's what Federico does to improve the liquidity of the network, and liquidity provider will play an essential role in the system.
Yeah, it has to be a sustainable way to, both for the users and for the liquidity providers. What about you? What do you think about this question, Jeffrey?
Yeah, I think there's. I think for the mass adoption, I think it's not more on the technical right now, because there's a lot of infrastructures for the user to receive that payment, because you can simply run your own node, or maybe you can just receive the Lightning payments by your wallet, or maybe if you build some application, you can also integrate some other SDK, maybe Braze SDK and other SDKs that you can send and receive the Lightning payments. But when I see the how we can use that Lightning payments, because one example, when I check the BTC map in Hong Kong, I think there's only one restaurant that's supporting the Lightning Network payments. So I think the problem maybe behind this Lightning payment itself, because when the restaurant owners, when they want to receive that payment, so they have to lots of things to do, because they have to calculate how much BTC the value, and how I can just make that financial statement to the regulators, to the governments. I think that's all the things that on the financial infrastructure side is needed by the some other the merchants, and also maybe restaurant owners. I think that's on that side is still needed for the mass adoption.
Yeah, the conviction rate is hard to calculate, or it's every time you have to, fresh up and to see the conviction rate. So that's why we need USDT on LN. Yeah. So as for the last question, Mrs. Khushboo.
Okay, just to add, I would say to scale, you need a very user-friendly wallet. When I say user-friendly, it has to be really simple, something that not only I can use, but my mom and grandmom can also use. And then comes the wider hub networks, then comes the education, which is very important. And even if you're orange pilling someone, don't bombard them with all that you have in your mind, because it becomes difficult for them to understand. So break it down layer by layer, break it down in a very simple way, so that even a 5-year-old can understand. Because once you bombard them with all the knowledge that you have, they freak out. It becomes difficult for them to understand for a non-Bitcoiner. So, and apart from that, I think we need to overcome the challenges that something like regulatory issues, there need to be no uncertainty about it. Then there need to be something where you have, you ensure everybody is on the same page, and you have more conferences like this where it enables people to, come and understand what's going on in the market. Yeah, I think these are the major thing that could scale.
Thank you, thank you. I think my question ran up, so it's just I think this panel, are we running out of time, right? Okay, so that's it.
That's it, yeah.
All right. So thank you for everybody for attending this panel. I think this panel is over.